We have theme music now for Friday Morning Life Inspired. And good morning, Facebook. You can cue the music down. Thank you guys for being here. It is time for Friday Morning Life Inspired. And one of my favorite people is a guest on the red couch. This is Tony Hutti.
Thank you, Diane. Glad to be here very much.
I'm so glad to have you. We've been trying this for a while.
I know.
We had to keep pushing you. Different times you'd get something come up, right?
Well, travel a little bit too much.
Yes,
yeah.
you do.
Yeah.
Not too much.
Yeah.
It's all good because you're blessing all those people every time you go all those places.
That's part of it. I feel that we have a very specific ministry I have, and
Yep.
I found it in the last 25 years. So.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to say thanks to Daryl Buchanan for letting us play. We have Jesus as our theme song anymore. The song features Will Cole, Tish Pittman, and Janet Pittman. You can get it at darylbuchanan.net. You can get it on iTunes. So thanks, Daryl, for letting us play your music. And if you've never joined us to watch Friday Morning Life Inspired before, we do this every Friday about 9:30. We have guests who are going to talk about their turning points. So lots of people have numerous turning points in their lives, and Tony's going to talk about one particular today. You're walking along, something happens that's a ... and then God thing that gets you walking a new path. And I'm assuming yours is about when you started Executive Forum, probably.
It is, but I would like to first thank someone, and it's my brother.
Yeah?
I would not be here today if my brother had not given his life for me.
Wow.
And I had a brother that was born a year and a half before me. He died after 3 hours, and the
Wow.
doctors came in and told my mother, "Your son died." I had two older sisters, but I had not been conceived or anything. And she said, "You're not burying my Tony." They said, "Well, you cannot have any more children. That's it." And in spite of that, she decided with my dad to have another child. And fortunately, it was me. During the pregnancy, I was outside the womb, and there's been a lot written.
Wow.
But my hope is that someday I have a chance to meet my brother,
You will.
Edgar Jacob, and that he will, embrace me, because without him. So,
Wow. I did not know that, Tony.
no, most people don't. And I grew up in a small town. My dad went to the seminary for 4 years, thought he was going to be a priest.
Really?
So at second grade, I'm Roman Catholic, I got my first communion. And when I experienced, under Catholicism, what we believe is when I experienced Jesus coming into my body, I really was taken back. From second grade to sophomore year of high school, I went to communion about every day.
Wow.
And a lot of times on Saturdays, I went, Saturdays I would go with my dad, 6 o'clock mass in the hospital. So, but what happened is, while I was in the seminary, I had an aunt, my favorite, who lived in California, who passed away with breast cancer, and I never had a chance to see her. And I was just devastated that how could God take away such a lovely person from me. And at that stage, I wandered in the desert. I was not as full of faith. There was doubt.
You're kind of mad at God.
Yeah. And so 40 years later, I met my wife, Charlene. We were dating, but we said that if we get married, we've got to have a third person in our life, and that's God our Father. So we were searching around. We decided to stay with the Catholic religion, and we went to a retreat. It's called Christ Renews His Parish. And sitting there with 14 other men, sharing their faith walk, hearing their stories, you realize that you're not the only one that's gone down this path. And I realize, and that's why when I say my favorite song is A Different Road, that at that time I realized that our God, our Savior, was walking beside me for those 40 years,
Yes,
even
he
though
was.
I was ignoring him and not really bringing him into my life. And that's why I say I want to walk a different road. After we got married, I created or bought into Renaissance Executive Forums, which is a peer group for CEOs. As you know, we bring 10 or 12 top executives together in a meeting. One of the cornerstones of that group, while we're not a Christian-based group, we are what I call a faith-based group, is a belief in a higher being. There are times during the course of our meetings we will stop and pray. One of the meetings a few years ago, one of the gentlemen, cell phones are supposed to be off, his cell phone went, started ringing, found out his father died.
Oh, right, during a meeting.
And we stopped the meeting and prayed to God our Father. In that session, I had a Muslim and I had 2 Jewish and Christians. So all of us jointly prayed to God our Father, the belief in a higher being. So what I've uncovered is, at least in my reflecting back on my life, is that while I went to the seminary and learned things and had a faith, 40 years of wanting to death, all that was to prepare me for what he wanted me to do. And it's my ministry is to take God our Father to people outside, particularly in the business community.
Mm-hmm.
And as you know, our goal is to impact 100,000 families.
Mm-hmm.
And what I mean by that is the better a CEO is in doing what they're supposed to do, being faith-based and a higher being, it impacts the employees, but most importantly, as you've seen within your own company, it impacts the families.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, we're at 35,000 families that, based upon our members, and our goal is to impact 100,000 families.
Yeah, but you impact a lot more than the 35 for who you have members now, because the ones that transition, like for me, I was there for a time.
Right.
And then there was a season that was, over for a little while.
Right.
And I know while I was in there were some that were in there and left and stuff like that. And so you've impacted
I understand that.
the other employees underneath me and.
Well, and as you know, we've brought in speakers
Right.
and national thought leaders. But
Yep.
the experience I have as being a CEO is when you walk into a room as CEO, everybody kind of looks to you, and there's a wind, there's a undercurrent that just seems to follow you no matter what you do.
Right.
But if you truly know that, God is walking beside you, and you convey that, and again, it's not what we say, it's what we do.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's numerous times during the course of the months when we have our meetings that something comes up that someone is struggling with, and as we've coined the phrase, it's the one place you can go and get your answers questioned. I don't know how many times I've had CEOs come in and say, either from a business standpoint, from leader, or from personal, and I'll reflect on one right now real quickly, is that one of them came in and said, last night I got a call. My daughter was in a car accident. She was driving and the passenger died.
Oh my gosh.
And so how do I handle that? And one of the other CEOs says, well, let me tell you about the time when my dad was driving and we were hit by a train and I lost 2 of my siblings.
Mm.
So that's that environment
Sharing.
that we create,
Mm-hmm.
and it's being there.
Mm-hmm.
And the irony, I close with this, is our ideal number of members in a group is 12.
Right. You've told me
Join
that
it.
before.
12 apostles.
Right. Right.
So if you're following Jesus Christ and you're in this group of 12 who have that faith, and again, whether they're Christian or they're Jewish, Muslim, or whatever faith they are,
Mm-hmm.
they're there for each other.
Mm-hmm.
That is my ministry.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Thank you.
So now, you sent me the music. Hey, TJ, do we have his song? He had sent me
Different road?
A Different Road. Do we have that, or at least a picture of the? Nope, not today. Okay, sorry. We'll link that so you guys can follow and listen to Tony's favorite song.
Okay.
So, A Different Road. What are some of the lyrics? Why is that your favorite song?
Well, and when I think back in my life, there was a time that I would run too fast or too slow. I would not pay attention to where he was. And now one of my favorite lines is that I'm going to look up there and see if he's there, and I'm going to follow what path. He has a plan for me, and I have to accept whatever that plan is. So instead of the 40 years of doing my road, it's his road. It's a different road. And looking up and saying, okay, God, what do you want from me?
Right.
What can I do? As
And
you,
we don't have to walk that path, but it's so much easier. if
well,
we
and he's
walk-
there with you,
Right,
beside you.
right.
And when you do that, and as you've experienced in your own business, but in our peer groups, is that when you firmly follow what he wants, there's an aura, there's a feeling that goes out to other people. Again, it's not the preaching, it's the living as Jesus taught us.
Right, right.
So,
Yep. Thank you.
you're
Thanks
welcome.
for
Thank you for
sharing.
doing this.
Absolutely. So glad you could share. So if you guys would have any interest in having coffee with Tony, I know he would meet with you and talk to you about, why he and Charlie decided that they wanted to follow Christ and have Christ in their marriage. And they have a beautiful marriage. I think anybody that knows them knows that it is beautiful. And really having that, my mother, whenever she was going to give a gift, a wedding gift to a newlywed couple, she would give them Oreo cookies, because we're just a couple of black sinner people, just we're rough and hard, and there's nothing that's going to make those two cookies stick together, but that beautiful white icing Jesus will make us stick together.
that. I'm familiar with
Yeah,
that.
so she always gave Oreo cookies to newlyweds. So thanks for putting him in the
Thank
center
you.
of your marriage
Yeah.
and in the center of your business, and sharing what you share with all these executives. That does trickle down to all their employees and all their families
Definitely
and their
does.
kids. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anyway, so thanks for watching Facebook, you guys. See us again next week, and thanks for watching. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye. And we have Jesus. Let's play our song. We have Jesus.